Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death.
Hello. So, how's it going in Pine Spur?
The night is dark and full of terrors, my friend.
But it is so warm and toasty on these
heated toilet seats.
Heated toilet seats in the the noble house.
They haven't discovered using porcelain for their toilets yet. They're still using like limestone, so they can be pretty nasty to scrub out. But the limestone does allow them to have like hot water flow up and through the toilet, so the entire toilet is warm. Which
cleaning to me sounds like a job for skeletal specialists.
Sure. All right. We've done up to 5 days. Day 6 of the conquest of Pine Spur.
I think day 6 was where things started to get ugly. We finished cleaning up the battlefield, so I think Malcifer is going to take the skeletal company and march it on out of town.
As you're getting ready to march out of town, your company's forming up. Your hunters are bringing you provisions for your section of the journey. Lilith and Rosegrove are talking about who should stay, who should go. You know, you're sorting out the details. A single gnome approaches you when you're on top of your nightmare.
Is he on foot?
He is on foot. He's tiny. He's like 2.5 feet tall. At most.
How do I even notice him? Is he brought to me, or does he come approach me?
He walks. It. Hold on, let me roll my d6. She walks up to you proudly, boldly, kind of finding an open space where there's no undead and just like making a beeline towards you, staring at you the whole time.
Is it armed?
No, she's not armed.
She's not armed?
She has a hammer on one lapel, not like an embroidered hammer over one shoulder, and an embroidered saw or a saw on another, and then there's like a wrench embroidered on like the top of this, and there's all these like tools embroidered on her clothing all over the place. And she walks up to you as bravely as she can, but when she gets close, you can see that she's quaking in her boots.
Mm-hmm. Hello down there. Malcifer's like looking around, trying to figure out how this gnome got here, or like, because we're probably out on the field, right, at these old tore up battlefields.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of skeletal soldiers assembled nearby.
Hello there, my king. There is something for you which I bring.
I think this Malcifer turns his nightmare and dismounts. It's probably disconcerting to be speaking at such a distance to such a small thing.
Mm-hmm. She reveals
that an item.
She's pulling a small, like, little Red Rider wagon behind her with a tarp over it that she opens, and there is a crossbow in the wagon. My people do not know how you feel about the gnomes, but this, for many, many years, has been our home. We have made countless improvements, including toilet heating and various other forms of improved seating. We wish your permission to stay and continue our research into the thermodynamics of the lake. And if you allow us here, this will not have been a mistake.
I look this gnome up and down. Yeah.
She's young. Even by Gnomish standards, she's quite young. She's got to be like 30 years old or something.
Mm-hmm. Who might I ask are you?
They
Mouse crouches down next to her.
They call me Kelly, although my first name is Grace. Your Grace.
Kelly. Does Malcifer know anything about gnomes? I guess it should have occurred to him that they were here and they made use of the steam power, but
you know that they are exceptionally long-lived creatures. you know that they are tinkerers, and you know that they've created the heating and various other interesting things throughout Pine Spur. You also know that they are often annoying and frustrating, and if they will overpromise and then overdeliver, but then it like takes them 5 times as long as they thought it would and 10 times as much money. So they're very frustrating.
How long they've been here? Or are they involved in human politics?
They have been part of Gadia since before the conquest.
Yeah. Okay. And they are would they have been a noble house of gnomes, or are the gnomes separate from human society?
They exist in human society, but they don't really care for it. They sort of fit into the servant class, sort of, because that's how they get treated. But they maybe should be more of like an educated, sophisticated class if you were a just ruler.
Yeah. Your people have nothing to fear from the House of Winter. This war need not concern you. You may, they can live here in peace, continue doing their gnoming.
We can stay? Is that what you have to say?
Indeed, you may stay in Pine Spur. Your work with the toilet seats is legendary.
Thank you, Your Grace. This is a compliment that we shall not forget, not one of my race.
Yeah, what is it? So what is this crossbow in the sled?
It's a crossbow. It's a really well done crossbow with intricate metalwork, and there seems to be like a crank that's attached into the crossbow, so you don't have to add a separate crank. It just like there's a lever that pops out on the bottom, and you spin it around, and then like you put it back into place and pop it back in. So it's maybe a more efficient. Probably no in-game bonuses, but you know.
Is this a
tribute, my lord? Tribute.
Oh, took the word right out of my mouth. Well, yeah. I'm afraid I have no gift in return, but save my protection. You are now free from the Eridonian invaders. Your people may continue to live here as they have. They probably don't want to be marked to avoid the undead. They can just.
If Your Grace would permit one small request.
You have my ear.
An examination of your creations would be best. How do they work? How do they move?
The armies of winter. Malcifer beckons one of the blood knights closer.
Do they trip over? Would they trip over a street groove?
Do not.
May I approach, or will it smite me like a small roach?
Sheathe your sword. Malcifer commands the Blood Knight in Gadian.
It sheathes its sword.
Do not attack the gnome. This is all in Gadian.
Right. The gnome doesn't speak Gadian, so
you may approach. I say in common.
It comes up to the skeleton's knees and starts immediately pulls out some calipers and starts measuring at this and that, and then pulls out a small ruler and a little measuring tape and quickly sets to work just examining the joints and the structures and starts crawling up its bones and looking at its hips, and pretty soon the little gnome is crawling all over the skeleton.
Yeah, Malcifer's jaw goes agape. I must warn you, without my protection, that you would not be so safe.
Of course. I certainly need your protection from this strange direction. I'll work quickly and be out of your hair.
We can just mic drop there if you want.
Sure.
So Malcifer is content to leave the gnomes to work their magic or in pine spurs they have for generations.
Mm-hmm.
They're fine. We don't have any. I think I see them as outside of this this conflict.
Yeah.
They'll probably. Well, I mean, I think once the army leaves Pine Spur and the hunters take on Wardenship, they'll probably be safe without any particular protection.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll accept this gift. How would you describe this crossbow? Is it just like a mechanical crossbow, Amish crossbow?
Yeah, an Amish crossbow. It will function as a light crossbow for all intents and purposes.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of like a stylistic, fancy maneuver thingy here.
I already have a light crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a Nomish version of the one that I had. I mean, not that this isn't an impressive gift, right? Like, crossbows are expensive, right? I don't know what one of these costs, especially an intricate one like this. Dozens of gold.
Dozens of gold pieces, certainly.
Thousands of copper.
Yes.
Right, it is a feat of engineering.
It is, and more than that, like the work that binds it together, it's not just like a bracket that wraps around this, it's a bracket that has like little etchings and carvings and little accent marks put on it. So it's not just a work of technological improvement, it's also an artistic piece.
Yeah. What was with all the patches on the gnome? Are those like guild marks or like
Yeah, if you ask, she'll tell you that these are markings for her servitude to her people. We are proud to say we now make up 15% of the population. It's certainly something that for which we deserve congratulations. Gnomes breed quickly and rapidly, and we have no natural enemies.
Are these like merit? Oh God! Are these like merit badges? Does this one mean you can?
Yeah.
You can smith, and this one means you can.
Merit badge is a little condescending, but yes, they're marks. They're like her diplomas or certificates of accomplishments on her outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I tell her that the skeletons will tear her apart as if I'm not there to protect her. If they would, yeah. They're probably best keeping their species clear of these of the current war. But if they would like to swear fealty to the side of winter, then
we swear fealty to the hammer and the and the saw.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
All right, so I will take this fine Nomish crossbow. Does it come with bolts or just?
No, it's just the crossbow itself. It uses standard bolts.
There was like an auto reloader. Is that what you were describing?
Well, normally crossbows need like some sort of crank or winch to help reload it, and this just has like it built in, so you don't need two pieces of equipment to work your crossbow. You just have the crossbow.
It's got like a winch crank or something that's already
folds into the bottom and then like pops out and spins around and then like folds back up.
All right. Doesn't save me any time or anything. Oh, I was thinking I was rambling about crossbows. I do like the way you handle crossbows in the 2-point Neal. Like
not requiring a proficiency.
Not requiring a proficiency.
Yeah.
Making them not quite as good, like justifying why you would use one over a bow, right? It's you hand it to any peasant and they can point and shoot and be as effective as any archer.
Right, but archery is a difficult skill to acquire that takes years of practice, and so it takes 2 slots, but it's hella useful to have.
Making them prohibitively expensive makes them kind of cool bits of treasure.
Yep. I appreciate you appreciating the way I do crossbows.
Your chat thought you gave me a magic item.
No. Actually, this campaign has 0 magic items in it.
0.
That's interesting.
I feel I'm OP enough as a kid. I make my own magic items. I think I made that joke earlier in the campaign, right?
Yeah.
I've got an army of skeletons. Like, what the heck am I going to do with a +1 longsword?
Yeah. All right, so you march up, take your people, and head back home. Back to Winter's Reach.
No. We're heading to the Summerwood.
Oh. Oh.
Right. There's the that's where the blah, blah, blah. That's where the descendants of House Grayson.
They lived up here near the Summerwood, not in it themselves, but
Well,
this very
in
last.
case we're marching through it.
Ooh. Summerwood encounter table. How many undead do you have with you on this rainy day as you march through the Summerwood?
So I think we cleared out Pine Spur. They don't need undead to defend them. I don't think. I don't think I need to lead.
What?
Yeah, from what? So there's like the wardens of Pine Spur are the is that contingent of hunters. Maybe the nobles make their way back, like Rosegrove and the rest of my house make their way back to Winter's Reach.
Mm-hmm.
So Malcifer will just march in force with his army, which looks to be a lot. Like 200 skeletons. If you combine 60-something ghouls, 60-something regular guys.
Sure. So you won't necessarily see it because the Summerwood is sort of thick and you're in the middle of your army, but there you will hear the occasional skirmish on the sidelines of your large troop moving through, where your skeletons come across living things, or your ghouls come across living things, or living things come across your monsters, and there are skirmishes that result in deaths, enemy deaths.
Yeah, Malcifer zips around on his nightmare. I mean, so I think the marching orders are to march, right? Don't stop getting distracted with by killing deer or whatever it is that's happening, and that will kind of get trickled down the chain of command. But chaotic evil army of the dead, shit's gonna happen. So,
right. But like when the group of goblins ambushes your like the lead skeleton, the front skeletons break out and slaughter the 5 goblins that thought they were finding a weird
and Malcifer
person.
hears this commotion and comes galloping in on his nightmare back. I don't know that we want to play any of that out. Are any skeletons brought down by goblin ambushes?
No. Maybe some skeletons get wounded, but they'll heal over time. So I don't think it's worth really noting or going into the specifics, but there are things in the Summerwood. It is not a safe place, but your army makes short work of them, and most of the things sort of leave you alone.
Right.
All right. You eventually make it through to the other side, to this small, little tract of land up here.
The army is 413 in total, if you were curious. That includes mounts. That's 4 companies.
It's a lot of monsters.
Army of the dead. Sorry, just spreadsheeting. Severed Head is not with me on the War March. And there are still a couple dozen zombies in the woods, zombie monsters, more than 50 skeletons in the rose bushes. Lord Rosegrove has his own personal skeletal knight.
Okay. Well.
Sorry. Spreadsheeting done. I'm popping into Roll20 to see. Okay, you just moved the company to the coast. Are there,
at this point, if you have 400 people, you have a full-fledged division now. So
do we need to make that token bigger?
No, it's okay. I mean, we can if you want, but
okay. Is the division 400?
A division is like any group of companies, like a series of them. So usually at least 3 together would make a division. So, yeah. Okay. You arrive in this small little territory way out here, way out in the north of the Dark
villages
Plain.
on the way, or
not in the Summerwood. The Summerwood is home to only monsters and wilds.
And interesting. But I found located on a map there is a, or is it this one here?
It's that one there. Yeah, it's that one.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sure enough, you can march into the land there.
Yeah. So we come out of the Summerwood, a army of the dead.
I don't think you guys really care what time of day it is, so you are arriving somewhere near daybreak, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you march out of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little village. You can see it's on the coast. There's some nice sandy beaches down there. A little bit of forest that creeps on towards the edge. You can see fields from the little villages scattered around and the small town center on the sandy coast itself. They're flying the flags that are similar to the Grayson flags, but they've been changed over the years. The family name has also changed from Grayson. They're now the what does Grayson change to? They are the, I don't know. I'm really bad at coming up with names, apparently.
Well, you've got until I find them and they tell me what their name is.
Perfect. They're flying different flags than the Grayson family.
So the, I guess we leave the companies. What do you call it?
Division.
Division. We leave the division in the Summerwood.
Mm-hmm.
We've lined up right on like the tree line. The specialists are commanded to not harm the villagers.
Mm-hmm.
And keep their stand down. And Malcifer will head into the village with just his retinue of blood knights, plus plus my specialist, my mage.
Okay.
And I think let's grab 8 ghouls for good luck.
Okay.
So there will be 8 ghouls, 8 blood knights, and a couple of and Malcifer and his mounted vizier.
The people who are just coming out of their houses and coming out to the fields to start their days see you approaching and cock their head to the side like, what is that coming out of the woods? What are oh my god, they're the undead! And they bolt in terror and flee back to the relative safety of their unwalled little village.
Mm-hmm. And Malcifer marches right into the village square.
Yes. You are greeted by the sheriff of the village, who is approaching by herself. Atop a pony, not even a proper mount, just a little pony there. She's got a shield in one hand. It's made out of wood. She's got no armor on, but she has a short sword in her other hand, her main hand. Bronze, yep.
Drawn, I said.
Oh, yes, it is drawn and it is bronze.
I am Lord Winter. I seek the descendants of House Grayson.
I am Jaina Blackgoat. My house does descend from the Graysons, but we split ages ago. These are my people and my lands. I am charged with keeping them safe, and I insist you leave. She says boldly, very boldly.
These lands are Gadian lands, lands of winter, and I am charged with keeping them safe. The Eridonian, I've come to tell you that to deliver a message that the Eridonian interlopers have been defeated, driven from from Pine Spur and these lands. Your people are once again freed.
And what do we pay for this new freedom?
What do I make of this black goat? She a proper lord of this land? You get to keep this little corner?
That's up to you. Do you want to put her in charge of all of Gadia? Malcifer's not one to rule.
That's what I'm looking at now. That's what it's like, yeah. It's like you don't look like she doesn't look like she's ready to...
Well, how could you test her to see if she's ready? What would be a good test of her character, of her ethos, of her will to rule, her ability to rule?
Probably should have taken Pine Spur back from the interlopers. You are content to sit on your patch of beach, black goat. You do not hunger for your birthright, for the throne of Pine Spur.
My family has no claim to the throne. We own this patch of land. We serve it well. My people are happy and safe, or at least they were until this morning.
Malcifer raises his voice loud enough for hopefully some of the villagers to hear. Your people are free from the oppression of Eridon, and you may remain here, or Malcifer shrugs. Are there others? Old houses, your cousins, loyal Gadians, those that served the old gods. Did you give up any names?
My other families, true Gadians.
Yeah.
This land is filled with true Gadians. The Eridonians settled the south. We have remained in the north. There are plenty of old houses here.
Time has come, then, for Gadia to be free once more.
You will not impose. What will you do when you rule?
Malcifer cocks his head. I don't know if he's decided. I don't know if he quite realized that he ruled. He thought he might have been seeking out his true king, and he finds this little noble house in their vacation home on the coast. It's not too long ago Malcifer was in a similar position himself.
Yep, you had the Blumwood, they have the Summerwood, both right on the coast. Small backwater village of no importance to anyone. Yeah.
I think it's just going to be a sort of awkward encounter this night with the undead horde that emerges from the wood and retreats. Few cryptic words from the Lord of Winter.
Some hesitation by the black sheep, black goat.
Yeah. I think we'll just keep an eye on her. Like Malcifer almost like wonders if she's gonna like try and make a play, declare herself king or something like that. I don't know. It's I think we'll just leave it with the weird tension. I'm not sure if next week I'll want to like seek out any other house. Like, did we want to rally the old houses, or they have no interest in aligning themselves with the army of the dead? We shall see.
All right. Well,
So,
do you leave her here? Do you take her?
I don't know. Malcifer has freed her. The Aridonian interlopers are gone. Like, I don't know how much they'll read into that or understand, but right there, they can build their walls and rule as we once did.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like she wasn't interested. I mean, like, if it had been a different encounter, I mean, they're a different person.
Right. Had she been wanting
Malcifer may
the
have
throne
walked
for
in there
herself?
and handed the keys to the undead horde. Who knows, right? But that's not what happened. I think Malcifer just like walks away, leaves her with these this cryptic message. Maybe she thinks it was all just a strange, like, supernatural. Yeah, who knows, right? The army of winter comes out of the Summerwood and delivers a weird message from the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Or undead powers.
Yep.
I don't know.
Right.
So, but if she's just gonna keep her, then she may just hang out here on the coast in this vacation home.
So
Not bother
Malcifer
coming back to Pine Spur. Yeah, he's not gonna be like, yeah. Well, the only thing I'm thinking is if I want to seek out the other houses. She said there are a bunch of
other houses up here. Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if, like,
Oops.
this if there are people hiding out in the Summerwood. So, I mean, maybe the company does stay in this area for a while.
The division.
Maybe the division does occupy the Summerwood for a while, and we try to seek out other noble houses. Maybe have similarly disappointing encounters. Maybe some of them would want to come back to Pine Spur.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like Malcifer doesn't command this black goat to come to Pine Spur and serve on the council. Right? If all it is creepy necromancer and his undead lieutenants coming out of the woods and saying, "You're free, we've killed the Ardonian." They're like, fuck that, staying out of Pine Spur.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "We were oppressed? What? Huh?" But it sounds sort of to me like we are. Where's Malcifer going? Like, is this the end? Have we done everything that we need to do? What?
I think.
Are there other goals?
Well, I mean, we've captured Pine Spur. Gadia is free once more. I think we still have some cleanup to do, right? So there's whatever's going on Kel Isle. There's potentially a company of mercenaries in the Lindell Plain.
Perhaps,
and
yeah.
Maybe scattered resistance.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Does Malcifer find? Are there other families in the Summerwood?
Yeah, you've been looking through those books with what's his face, Rose Grove, and there are various ancient noble houses by your standards over here in this section of the Lindell Plain.
Mm-hmm.
The Darton Plain, I mean. And you can promote them and create your own ruling class now and reconfigure everything. I mean, the land is more or less yours. There might be some scattered resistance, but I think it can just be hand-waved.
The individual ones.
Right.
So that was exactly as... I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. But I think they'll all get cryptic messages. Every old house that we can track down will get a cryptic message like that. Either... I don't know. I mean, that was the most important one, and they almost didn't even seem worthy of Malcifer's time. So it may just be that, Malcifer sits back and corpse whispers through undead servants. Or maybe, like, even messengers are sent.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So similar spooky messages get delivered to these old houses, right? Telling them that they're no longer oppressed. That the armies of winter have liberated them.
And I think a few of them will probably show up
free to rule. Yeah, so some of them may come to Pine Spur.
Yeah.
Some of them may nope.
Yeah.
Horrible ghost stories about how the army of the dead showed up out of the woods one day. And
why don't you give me a charisma check to see how successful you are at convincing these people that they are free and they should come see you.
19.
Oh. All right, that's everyone. 100% of the old families return to Pine Spur. Send someone an emissary.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe even that black goat. Like, although it was kind of an awkward omen or whatever, an awkward message to receive. Sometime later, she'll come into Pine Spur to see what's going on. So over the course of weeks or whatever, as these messages are delivered, we'll have a gathering of old houses in Pine Spur.
Right. I think we're just going to cut straight ahead a few weeks later in the throne room of Pine Spur, which has been reconfigured by your loyal cultist servants. They've brought your bone throne here. They've redecorated the place and moved things around while you were off marching about. You could change it back if you want, but that's sort of what happens in your absence.
Yeah, I don't think it's what Malcifer intended, what he expected. Like, he wasn't planning on occupying Pine Spur and making himself king of Gadia, but it seems like that's what's happened.
There before you are 18 emissaries from 18 different houses. Some of them still hold noble titles. Some of them have lost their titles or have been demoted to like the barest definition of noble possible. They've been gathered before you. They've all heard that the Eridonians have been kicked out, and they're all here sort of like, well, what now?
Do they all have like retinues of their guards or something? Is this like a big... Is there enough space in that meeting room
No, each one only sends maybe like one emissary and then like whatever guards they need to get there. But the room itself right now is just the emissaries. No other soldiers except for whatever undead you brought with you. Once the room is filled and everyone's gathered, Lilith will step forward. And deliver in a clear voice to those assembled. Kneel and pay fealty to, she makes a sweeping gesture, King Malcifer Winter. Which they hesitantly do, each one kind of dropping down to a knee one at a time. You can see that it's maybe a little half-hearted in some of them, and in others, they're pretty excited about this. Others are maybe a little terrified. And this, again, may not be what Malcifer was hoping for, but life does hinge on weird bits.
Yeah, I guess Malcifer stands from his throne and looks around. There probably are, like, 2 Blood Knights flanking him, right?
I would expect so.
Maybe a sinister executioner's axe leaning in the corner. And Malcifer looks around, sizing up all of these nobles. Do they just immediately go to Neal? There's no resistance amongst them?
There was hesitation in some of them, definitely.
Yeah.
Certainly. It wasn't like a uniform. It was like one here, one there. A few over here. The people at the front closest to the Blood Knights go down first. Jaina Black Goat is one of the last ones to drop to a knee. Some people bow their heads. Other people make direct eye contact. You have a mix of loyalties and fear going on here.
Yeah. Lords of Winter. Loyal servants of the old gods, houses of Gadia. For too long have we lived under the heel of the oppressors. But our time has come. Malcifer like sits back down in his chair.
One person stands up, makes a salute, and says solemnly, "For Gadia."
For Gadia.
Another person stands and repeats it, and soon they all have risen and pledged to fight for Gadia.
Oh. Your people are free. Your lands are yours. Go forth and reclaim what was taken from your families. Let's.
Someone steps forward and says, "My king, our liege lords are dead, or some of them have fled.
Which
What is the system of rule? Will there be counts, barons, or will you rule directly?"
I do not rule. We all rule. Each of us, and all of them out there, and all of your citizens. We have the old blood in us. We are all lords of winter.
There is some approval and some confusion. And the person who asked the question sits back down.
The invaders who trespassed upon our lands centuries ago invoked Winter's curse upon themselves. They brought this bloodshed. Well, our prayers have been answered. The Winter Gods heard your pleas, and we have our army of winter. Time to take back what is yours. Your freedom, your people's freedom.
All right. They seem satisfied with this.
I wonder if any of them will want to get marked, or if any of them are going to ask for their own undead companies. I don't know. Or if they're just going to go back and play their little human politics and like snatch up all their neighbors' lands. I'm not sure what. I think. Yeah, Malcifer's now that he's growing more and more in power, his chaotic nature is showing through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's more or less what's going to happen here.
Empowering all of his people, telling them that they're lords and to take what's theirs, and chaotic evil will ensue.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They go back to their lands. Any former Eridonian nobles find themselves on the end of witch hunts, and over a period of months, I suppose they will all get rooted out and either shipped off if the people who are rooting them out are merciful, or executed if the people are ruthless or wish to impress you. And over a period of time, the Eridonian houses will be removed. Bit by bit.
What is their take on the Winter Gods? That they do what they defer as Sir Deferral so brilliantly taught them.
You know,
they smile and nod, but none of them are like, "Praise be the Winter Gods."
Yeah. You know, these gods have given them their land and territory back and empowered them, so bully for those gods. But we just don't know how to worship them properly, so we'll wait for those instructions to spread naturally on their own, you know. Mm-hmm. We've got other things we're doing.
All right. I think this seems like a good spot to wrap up this episode. How much more epic do you get than that? Didn't mean to make my character king, but it kind of happens if you murder hobo hard enough, or murder noble hard enough.
Yeah.
Anything else we should talk about?
There's only one more thing.
For landing here. Yeah. What's that?
What are we doing next week? Is there more Malcifer to dig into? Have we reached the end of Malcifer?
I didn't get to scoop out my eyeballs.
I know.
I still have a hunger that needs satisfying. There's all these epic high level abilities.
I know.
But
maybe
did I just win Dungeons and Dragons?
Of course you didn't win. You won Gadia, but Dungeons and Dragons can never be won.
I teased viewers before the show started that this is the first I was hearing that we were retiring Malcifer.
Well, I don't know if we are retiring Malcifer.
Look at us. It depends what you can come up with, right? Like, are there? Right, if there's other quests on do we go on Bat Quest next week?
There's minor things to be done, but it would be a major step down from in intensity. We'd be returning to minor things, or maybe research here or there. The only other major questing to do would be to just look southward a little bit. Weatherlight was there was some talk of Weatherlight reinforcing these things, but you'll have found that rather than Weatherlight reinforcing, the remaining 4 companies that were stationed in Gadia retreated and hopped on the ships and left to Weatherlight instead. So there are still some usurpers that have escaped to another land across the sea.
Were those are the mercenary companies?
No, they were regular companies. They were going to bring in some mercenaries, and then instead they all left together. Mm-hmm. So there are, you could chase people down to other lands, which sort of opens up all of Eridon, but I don't know if Malcifer hungers for Eridon. Maybe he just wants Gadia.
I think he's
it might be nice just to wrap up Malcifer with a pretty bow on top. Usually character story arcs end when they die. This would be the first, I guess Qualnir was successful, at least in his first run. This would be the first
some people like to pretend there was only one run, and
yeah.
I feel like we didn't finish playtesting the character.
Well, there's so many more levels. So you're only 8, and we've got levels out to 12. That's even if it's a level every other session, that's still another 8 sessions, and there's no more content unless we.
I guess where I was, it'll be tough to justify leveling up, because I guess next level is conquer Eridon. Or go to another plane and become a Lord of Evil down there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should leave it like this, and when we come back next week, we will have something, and it'll just be a surprise for everyone, whether it's a new character, a continuation of Malcifer, or just like a recap and talking about the class and going over mechanics and stuff. Maybe that's the best solution.
There's still some of the high level stuff that I want to feel like needs to be revealed, but maybe that's another time. Maybe they're not ready, right? Maybe in a couple months we'll have to dig up a high level necromancer.
Well,
see some of these features.
Things in Arcadia are getting dicey.
Maybe we put Malcifer on a shelf, and someone just happens to scrape together enough gold to hire a company of Gadian mercenaries to come and wreck shit on Eridon.
And it turns out the company of Gadian mercenaries are undead, and they didn't realize it. Ooh.
Everyone knows what Gadian mercenary means, right? Don't they? Have you not read about the Winter Gods? So, okay. I guess let's just leave it on that cliffhanger then.
All right, that's where we'll leave it. We will be back next week with something. Who knows what?
Something. Get hype.
All right. That's it for us this week. Ryan, do you have anything you would like to say before we go away?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your thoughts and prayers. The winter gods appreciate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.